I'm here with Josh of the Frame team, and he's the lead designer of Frames, and we're just going to ask him a few questions about it. So what's Framed all about?
Frame is basically a narrative panel shifting game, and what we really wanted to do was change up games a little bit. So instead of having a game with a lot of actions, we limit those actions, and it's more about the order you do them in, and it changes the context of it.
So who's the main character in it? Like, it's this weird black silhouette guy. He doesn't have like a spoken word of dialogue or anything.
That's right. Yeah, we wanted to sort of like keep it quite accessible, but quite cool too. So we wanted to just remove a lot of words. Like, games can be pretty wordy, so we wanted to just kind of move that out and do sort of a show, don't tell kind of story with that.
Has that been a real challenge to really emphasize everything with only actions?
Yeah, it's a real challenge. Like our artist Ollie, he has to really think about, how exactly to frame each panel, to make it clear, yet also, like we all design over it, but it's a real challenge. It's one of the hardest parts of the game.
Actually, yeah, and speaking of challenges, as I was playing it, pretty much everything you do has like a very detailed story outcome. So even if you do the wrong way, you still see the story play out. That must have been a programming nightmare.
Yeah, it is a bit of a programming nightmare, but we've kind of nailed down a really efficient way to do it. So, luckily I sorted that out from the beginning, so it's not really a problem, anymore.
Okay. But you both think of the story scenario and the programming. So, have those ever sort of come into conflict where you have this amazing story, but you can't quite get like the right fail states happening, or?
Yeah. It's actually more of a design issue than a programming one. Like, it's more about balancing, the game. So it's still a good game, or like a good puzzle, but like you're still trying to tell a good story at the same time. So it's always a balancing act between the two. And the whole game's trying to be like a really good harmony between games and stories. A lot of the time you sort of get this thing where it's like, here's the game and then here's the story kind of going along at the same time. They're not really married.
Yeah, the whole dissonance thing going on. Yeah. One thing I love about your game is how accessible it is. It's like tapping, and again, no words as well. So even if you're illiterate, you can kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah, it makes localization a lot easier too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now these situations get pretty elaborate as you go on. So without getting too much detail, I guess, how elaborate do they get? Is by the end of the game, are we going to be exploring like a whole comic book of one scenario?
Our largest level at the moment, I think, is 8 or 9 panels long, and you can move most of them. So there's a lot of different outcomes. But usually what happens is, as long as it makes sense and as long as it gets to the right state at the end, it'll continue. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, how long do you intend the game to be?
This build we have now is taking people about 25 minutes, and it's only about 10 or 12 levels. We're aiming for about 40 to 50. So we're basically going for like movie length, so somewhere around an hour and a half to 2 hours. Like we're really trying to go for a really short but really high quality game. People don't have a lot of time anymore. I just want to play like a really great game.
I know our cameraman Tom actually brought this up before, that it really reminds me of the Mad Men intro, the visuals.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the things we were referencing when we first started to develop the art style. Is I think it's called Art of the Title, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a website.
That's
that had it all, yeah.
Yeah, an American company that does a lot of the Mad Men intro, and actually the intros from some of the latest James Bond movies as well, which have got a similar look. So that's something we looked at too, but also like mainly from the point of view that using silhouettes we can really embolden what the player character's doing and what the other characters are doing, and also allow the player to kind of read in their own interpretation into who these characters are a little bit, as opposed to kind of like being too forceful with the characterization. So yeah.
Frame looks amazing, so check it out when it comes out. When was it, sorry?
End of the year, before Half-Life 3.
Cool.